Do you know who the last living Medal of Honor recipient from the Marine Corps in World War II is? His name's Hershel Williams. I've done research and read an interview of his, and I'd like to inform you today about his childhood, military life, and receiving of the medal. In an article about Hershel Williams by Huntington Quarterly in 2020, it says he was born the youngest of 11 children in Quietdale, West Virginia. He and his siblings worked the dairy farm and would bring dairy and other products to nearby Virginia for sale. When he was 16, the Great Depression began, and one of his brothers went to work for the Civilian Conservation Corps. The money from his brother and the CCC caused Hershel to join as well. He was working for the CCC, specifically in Montana, when Pearl Harbor happened. In his interview with Huntington Quarterly in 2016, he said, "When the war came along, I had two options. I could go straight into the Army and fight for America, or I could request a release to join another branch of service and fight for America." He chose the Marines because when he was young, he said, and I quote, "They came home in their dress blue uniforms and I thought they were dressed immaculately. They were in overalls and no shoes." It led him to think that if he did join the armed services, he would be a Marine. At the time he's making this decision, two of his brothers were in the Army and he didn't like their uniforms, so he said, "I'm going to become a Marine," and requested a release. After his release from the CCC, he came home at age 17 and tried to enlist in the Marine Corps, but he couldn't. His father had passed away in 1934, and his mother wouldn't sign permission. So he waited until he was 18 and attempted to enlist in the Marine Corps, and the Marines had a height requirement. You had to be a minimum of 5'8" to be a Marine at this time, and he was 5'6". He didn't give up, however. He waited, and in 1943, the Marines got rid of their height requirement because they needed more troops to go fight. However, so many people joined at this time that it took several months for Hershel Williams to even go to boot camp. During this time, he worked for a taxi company. One of his duties while he was at this company was delivering Western Union telegrams informing families of deaths in the war. After his boot camp in San Diego, he ended up in Guadalcanal being trained to be a flamethrower and demolition specialist. In his interview, when asked about Guadalcanal, he said, "I have no idea how or why I was selected. We had never seen a flamethrower and had virtually no instruction. They were given a manual and told to figure it out, much like the Army of today." His sergeant actually had to make another form of fuel because the initial fuel that came with the flamethrowers was not effective. He received his Medal of Honor for the actions on Iwo Jima during the war. Williams stated the significance of Iwo Jima for its airstrip and the bombing runs on Japan. And when he was asked about this in his interview, he said that he was a section leader. It wasn't his job to go and use a flamethrower or blow things up. It was the job of his 6 Marines. His 6 Marines had all been shot or injured, and he was the last person left with that training available. So the commander asked him if he could go do anything about these fortifications on the beach, and he said, quote, "I'll try." This led to his Medal of Honor actions, and I'd like to read you an excerpt from his citation now. "Corporal Williams daringly went forward alone to attempt the reduction of devastating machine gun fire from unyielding positions covered only by 4 riflemen. He fought desperately for 4 hours under terrific enemy small arms fire and repeatedly returned to his own lines to prepare demolition charges and obtain service flamethrowers, struggling back frequently to the rear of hostile emplacements to wipe one position after another." And that's without being too graphic about his citation, he received the medal on October 5th, 1945. When asked about the impact of the ceremony on him, he said that he could not remember the speech that the president gave, but he remembered what he said to each of them, that he would rather have that medal than be the president. The president at this time was President Truman, who was a part of World War I and knew what was required to receive the medal. And, you know, this has been a story of how Hershel Williams has overcome, you know, many roadblocks to achieve the highest military honor, and he lives on as the oldest living Medal of Honor recipient currently. And as a side, he enlisted in 1943. He was awarded the Medal of Honor in 1945. Thank you.